the vets. Now, we heard a lot of talk about this Grade 2K stuff the other day. Believe me, Y2K is more believable than anything that comes out of Grade 2K.
Right, and the way I understand it, there's this group, Gray 2K, that's in support of this bill, and the folks that are lobbying on behalf of it, they called it a Depression-era industry that happens to still exist today and is not economically viable. I mean, what's your response to that?
That's a phony fraud organization as far as I'm concerned. I don't have any respect for that organization. I've met with them, I've talked to them in the past. They've been extremely disingenuous in some of the things they've reported. This has been proven to be wrong. Like, for instance, talking about this being a subsidy. That for 2 years, they've had a lot of people convinced on that.
Commissioner Hutchin for his leadership on this issue. I'm here to support Proposal 67. I just want to make 2 brief points. First of all, I know this is an emotional issue, but our case in support of Proposal 67 is not based on individuals or individual acts of cruelty. We believe the evidence shows that this industry relies on standard practices such as the system of confined housing that's used, the use of anabolic steroids of female greyhounds.
I really wish I could take this group, put them in a real Senate hearing that you see on TV in Congress, and have subpoena power under oath. You are now under oath, and I would tell them all, whoever perjures himself is going to jail. Really, I had an incredibly difficult time. I hear you loud and clear, Commissioner Lee, and you're passionate about it. I understand that. But I saw no data, no statistics.
As a result, the state loses money, a substantial amount of money. Essentially, we are propping up this industry by using other revenue sources inside of DBPR.
With respect to what you characterize as the inhumanity with the 66 sheriffs in the Department of Public Safety and 20 state attorneys, and crimes on our statutes that make it a felony to abuse animals, why is that not done? When the horrors we've heard.
There is a lack of regulatory oversight in this industry. They're already losing several $1 million a year regulating as it is.
But I saw no data, no statistics.
A follow-up question. I did call the Secretary of DPPR, something like that. That one. To ask the question about the financial impacts on the state, because I listened to the audience as they spoke and how it costs us more to regulate it than what it generates and so forth. And his answer was, we take in more revenue than it costs to regulate that industry. So it's a little bit different than what you've said. So and I had this discussion with him, what's today? Today's Tuesday, I must have had it Thursday last week or Friday.
With a 2-year difference in time, that the numbers could have changed. Since your letter was the 6th, I'm just trying to figure out the reason why the disparity in numbers.
And there's lots of reasons that people across America are turning away from this sport, if we want to call it a sport. And you've heard many of them. A lot of it has to do with the treatment of the animals and so forth, and the degree. In fact, I'm told through the Racing Commission that 1 greyhound dies on average every 10 days.
But I just wanted to stand up in response to some of the remarks that were just made. This morning at 11:17 a.m., I received an email from the State Racing Commission. And they directly contradict the numbers that we just heard regarding fatalities in the greyhound industry. The number that was given was the 1 every 10 days. But the numbers that I was given by the Racing Commission this morning, like I said, at 11:17, was that in 5 years, unfortunately, and this is, I mean, I'm not making light of this, but in 5 years, there have been 69 dog fatalities. And so that, again, that comes directly from the Racing Commission. So the every 10 days doesn't add up. But I'm happy to look at any contradicting figures.
I want to say, eventually, you know, West Virginia, one more time, is an outlier in this and many other areas. And we're just trying to get us to recognize that across America, this activity is in decline, drastic decline.
To say that this is an industry in decline, I think is a little bit of a misnomer. In 2010, the total handle that was gambled on greyhounds was $92 million. In 2019, it was $124 million. That's an increase of 34%. And so even if you say, well, you're trying to go back for a very long period of time to cherry pick your numbers, I'll just go back to 2015. And in 2015, it was 104 million. And now it's 124 million. So that's still an increase of 19%. The past 10 years, the horse racing industry in the state has seen $35% decrease in total handle gambling. So greyhound racing has seen a 34% increase. Horse racing has seen a 35% decrease. And so I struggle with the industry on decline. I have been to a kennel. I went with my wife back in December. And I think by now people know that I'm either famously or infamously known for introducing the shelter dog resolution here in the Senate. And so obviously dogs are very important to me. And so we were very surprised by what we found in the kennel, the way that the dogs lived, the way that they were treated, the disposition of the dogs. I was very surprised by all that. And because I thought, well, if I'm going to get behind this bill on the opposite side of it, to vote against this bill, I want to make sure that the dogs are treated well. And so that kennel visit did a lot for me. When we talk about the treatment of the dogs, that was part of what we heard about. There's an outside organization that is heavily involved in this. They have nothing to do with the state of West Virginia. They're not located in the state of West Virginia. Their only ties to West Virginia are their lobbyists that they've hired here. They were involved in outlawing racing in Florida. They were then played no part in the adoption of the dogs in the industry afterwards. They were not allowed to play a role whatsoever in that. And in fact, the quote that we heard from the head of that organization was, "Our ability to help with adoption domestically is in doubt." So that they have no plan to help if this bill were to pass. They have no plan whatsoever if this bill were to pass to help with the dogs. My wife and I have a better plan because of that kennel visit, I'm now adopting a greyhound that is retiring. So Alex and I have a better plan than the organization from outside of the state that wants to end racing here.
And who've been to the track, and they say dogs are treated tremendously. You know, as a county commissioner, I ran the animal control center. You want to see dogs getting treated bad? Go to your local animal control center.
Let me talk also about the treatment of the dogs. I had the opportunity last weekend to visit the shelter in Brooke County, and Senator Weld was there. The senator from Brooke County was there at the same time, and boy, was I impressed. I'm a dog guy. I've got 2 dogs at home, 2 puppies. They are 50% poodle and 50% Bernese Mountain Dog. They're known as Bernie Doodles. I always wanted the chance to talk about them here on the Senate floor, so here I have the opportunity to talk about Bettis and Stella. I love them to death. They are 100% unconditional love whenever I come home on Friday night after a long week in Charleston. And prior to Bettis and Stella, we've had other dogs in our home. We lost 2 dogs last year, and so it's always tough when that happens. But we love them, and they love us. And I would not be advocating for this industry if I thought the dogs weren't treated well. When I visited the kennel last Saturday, I couldn't believe the lives that they lead. Their lives are much better than the lives my dogs lead. They're around all their friends all day long. They get to play 6 or 7 times a day and go out and go to their run and play with other dogs. They have nutrition, certainly better than my dogs and better than most dogs. They are cared for and given attention all day long. When it's time to go from Brooke County down to Wheeling to race, they bring out these green leads. The dogs go crazy. They're so excited that they're going to get to go and race. And then when they come back, and I was there when the dogs came back from having just raced. In fact, a dog who had won the race walks in the door. They're wagging their tails. They're excited to see me and the senator from Brooke County and his wife and others. They were just so excited, like they were telling us what they had just done. Like they were saying, you won't believe what happened. We were just down the road at this track, and we ran around really fast, and we chased a rabbit, and now we're back. I mean, it was just very clear that these dogs have a life that's pretty darn good. And I don't dispute the fact that dogs sometimes are injured during these races and sometimes die, but there are certainly risks in any type of athletic endeavor. But I'm very comfortable in advocating for this industry based upon how these dogs are treated.